welcome to episode 99, part 3 of Africa's premier sports video podcast, the Three Quarters Podcast. We'd love to see what you're interested in the sporting world. Remember, the hashtag is 3QP. I'm Jemima Duffield.
And I'm Ngara Kamuya.
So match day 17, E.P.L, match day 17.
Yes.
Man City versus Everton, 3-1 to Man City. I think we expected that. Tottenham versus Burnley. Tottenham almost losing that, but winning 1-0. And the rest haven't finished.
As we speak, they haven't finished. Man City, of course, bouncing back of a loss against Chelsea. They lost to Chelsea in match day 16, 2-0, sorry. So it's good for them to register a win 3-1. Tottenham Hotspurs, they were expected to beat Burnley. Southampton versus Arsenal is going on, and as we speak, it's 1-1. And then the big game, of course, this weekend is going to be Liverpool versus United. So I'm sure by the time this episode drops, we'll know who will have won between Liverpool and United.
Yep.
Yeah.
Now we move on to match day 18, where we've got the Wolves versus Liverpool. 15% on the Wolves, 62 on Liverpool. Arsenal versus Burnley, 80% on Arsenal, finally. 6% on Burnley. Manchester City versus Crystal Palace, 85 on Manchester City and only 5 yikes, on Crystal Palace. Chelsea versus Leicester City, 73 on Chelsea, 9% on Leicester. And Cardiff versus Man United, 16 on Cardiff, 60 on Man United. And the last one is Everton versus Tottenham, 28 on Everton and 45 on... Sorry.
On Spurs,
Yes.
That should be the game of the weekend, Everton versus Spurs. Once upon a time, them being mid-level teams. Now Spurs a top-table team. But it should be the game of the weekend. And the predictions sound pretty accurate on that one and on all the games that are going to be happening in match day 18.
Okay. So, still on football, we had Mohamed Salah winning the African Footballer of the Year award for the second time in a row, making him only the second person, only the first person after Nigerian JJ Okocha won it twice in a row.
Mohamed Salah has been a joy to watch in the last 2 years. And it's unfortunate. I think, I'm trying to remember, I could be wrong by there. I'm not saying categorically. I think he was at Chelsea first and Man City, and his career didn't take off. Then he moves to Liverpool, he hooks up with the Jurgen Klopp, and everything just happens. Well, good for him. It has been a fantastic year for him. Unfortunately, in what I think should have been the height of his 2018, one thing happened that really messed him up, and that was he got injured in the Champions League final. Freakish accident with Sergio Ramos, and as a result of that, he was unable to finish the Champions League final. Liverpool went on to lose. He didn't have a very good campaign with Egypt at the World Cup. I think he missed the first 2 games of the first game because of that injury. But all in all, he's had a very good year. He's been an exciting talent to watch. He's been a joy to watch. Even if you're not a Liverpool fan, you appreciate the kind of football that Mohamed Salah plays.
I mean, speaking about his run with Egypt, he did help them, however, qualify, for the World Cup.
True.
And I mean, last season with Liverpool, 44 goals in 52 games.
Wow.
Like he's been working.
That's a serious conversion rate. That's 80%, 85, about 85%. That's good. That's commendable. He's had a very good season.
So now we move on to basketball. More specifically, NBA trade talk. So one that stood out for me is Carmelo Anthony moving to the Atlanta Hawks.
There is talk. I mean, Carmelo Anthony, of course, he has a 1-year contract with the Houston Rockets. That's after finishing, I think, 1 season with the Oklahoma City Thunder. Not a successful season, and that's why Houston, I don't think, is having a particularly good season. And it's unfortunate for somebody who was drafted number 3 in the 2003 draft, for somebody who was compared to LeBron James when he came into the league. It's unfortunate. I mean, the man has been unable to win a championship, but to the levels that his career has gotten to, it's sad for somebody of Carmelo Anthony's stature. So if he's being traded to Atlanta Hawks, we'll have to wait and see, but he's out of contract this coming summer. I think the big one for me is Trevor Ariza, who's with the Phoenix Suns right now. Let's talk about him going back to teams he actually played for, either the Los Angeles Lakers or the Houston Rockets. There was a deal that had been set up for him to go to the Washington Wizards, but it fell through the tail end of last week. But if he goes back to this season, you see, what Trevor Ariza gives you is primarily from a defense standpoint. And he did that with the Lakers in their last championship run in 2010. And he did that with Houston Rockets last year, and that's why he played a very big part, and that's why Houston Rockets were able to push the Golden State Warriors, for 7 games in the Western Conference Finals. So I don't think he's been exploited to his full potential at the Phoenix Suns, and I think him going back to either LA or the Houston Rockets would be, ideal for his career. Of course, the other people to talk about is the Atlanta Hawks. Vince Carter is out of a contract once the season is done. And Denver Nuggets, Isaiah Thomas is out of a contract. Houston Rockets, Carmelo Anthony, as we've talked. But I think the most important one, and the one guys will be looking at this coming trade season, is Kevin Durant. He's going to be out of a contract at the Golden State Warriors. And, there's a discussion, of course, of the fight that he had with Draymond Green, And that fight was really pegged on the fact that Kevin Durant has not yet committed to the Golden State Warriors. I think he will sign with the Golden State Warriors. He's interested in winning championships. He's interested in being regarded as one of the top players. He's played second fiddle to LeBron James, and Golden State Warriors gives him an excellent chance to match up in terms of the number of championships won and finals MVP. So I see that I think he's going to stay with the Golden State Warriors. But all in all, it's interesting times in the NBA, and we sit down and we wait and see what we'll be seeing when the trade season starts.
Yep.
Yeah.
So just before we finish, we move into our bonus segment where we're talking about coaches and philosophies.
Yes.
And whether, it's still a thing or it's died down. To be honest, just before, I actually talked to a few coaches that I know and looked up, a few famous philosophies.
Yeah.
Before I get into that, I think it's something that, if you are a legit coach, there's no way you don't have a philosophy. Like, even if you maybe you're young and you haven't quite figured out what it is, but every coach has a philosophy. That is in my opinion. I think you know how they have quack doctors?
Yes.
Yeah, you're a quack coach if you don't have a philosophy.
That's true.
So I talked to Curtis Alago, having KCB Rugby, where they've been for the past few seasons. Of course, the season isn't over yet. And I asked him, if there's an overall sort of philosophy where when someone comes onto the team, they know I am under Curtis Alago. Like, what do they feel? And he says, respect the system, be the system. That's a good one. For me, philosophy is, someone identifying their purpose of coaching, their coaching values, and choosing a leadership style. And we've seen Curtis's leadership style. And it's all about a system. I also talked to Innocent Samu because I admire where he's, what he's done with Kenya Sevens, just before Paul Murunga took over. And, one thing I read in his sort of booklet, was that one of the things I saw was always look for opportunities to score, even in adversity. And that makes sense.
Yes, it does.
Whether you guys are in your 22, whether you're in your 5, you should always be seeing that try line. And how can we get to that try line? And, just a few I came across. One from John Wooden. This is basketball. It's what you learn after you know it all that counts. You've got players who think, I know it all. But then, there's that coach who'll tell you, no. Now you can learn. Now you can learn. So what do you have to say about this?
I do agree with you. And first, I like the fact that you've brought in a couple of our local coaches just to highlight what they believe in. But I'm of the same school of thought as you are, that you cannot be considered a top coach if you don't have a philosophy of what you're doing. Sports, yes, is entertainment, but from a coach's perspective, I want to say that sports is like an art. It's your work, and therefore your passion for it must be beyond, for you to study the game that you coach and break it down to the point that you understand and you know what philosophy you identify with. It's very important. And we do have situations and we do have instances in which you don't feel like a coach, has a philosophy about how he goes about things. I will be honest, the first person who comes to my mind is Jose Mourinho at Manchester United. I've never really gotten the feeling about what his philosophy is when it comes to the game of football. And when you compare it with some of his contemporaries, you look at Pep Guardiola, who's famed for the tiki-taka. He was all about possession. Keep the ball as long as you can, tire your opponents, and hold onto the ball just enough for what you need to do, enough for you to get your opposition off their foot. And that's how you move forward. I remember Thierry Henry explaining Pep Guardiola's style of coaching, and they would have a line in training, and the people on the left, only the people in the midfield are allowed to move because he always has a pivot. So he's the person who's moving the ball. Sergio Busquets, Xavi, Andres Iniesta, Thiago Alcantara at Bayern Munich. So the guys who are on the left, keep to the left. And the guys who are on the right, keep to the right. If you'd cross over the line, he would start training and you'd be in problem. So he's all about possession and holding the ball long enough to tire the enemy. In this case, sports. Arsene Wenger is all about free-flowing football. And that's why you see his teams are very, their passes are crisp. It's always about 1-2 touches maximum. Kind of makes you feel. Pep Guardiola is a student of Johan Cruyff, who came up with the total football philosophy. So you have Arsene Wenger, who's free-flowing football. You have Jurgen Klopp, who has a gegenpress. And then you go to other sports. You go to All Blacks. The person who I've looked at a lot is Steve Hansen, the All Blacks coach, and he's all about emotional intelligence, and he's always about mind over everything. That it's your mindset that gives you an edge over your opponent. You think about basketball, and the two people I like looking at were guys who are the Bulls and Lakers. Phil Jackson and Tex Winter, the late Tex Winter. Phil Jackson was all about, again, mind over everything. But the two of them believed in flowing the ball, moving the ball around, and that's why they executed the triangle offense in both their teams. That's the Bulls and the Lakers. So I believe that if you're going to be a top coach, you have to believe in something. There's a philosophy you have to believe in, and you have to subscribe to it, and you have to get your players to subscribe to your philosophy and believe in it, which is something all these coaches I've mentioned have done, and all the coaches you've mentioned have done. So that's my take on coaching philosophies.
This is now the part of sport that I absolutely love. The nitty-gritty, getting into the mind of a player. Anyway, guys, let us know what else you'd like to see on the show. I think that was very interesting. Tell me if you think it was. Remember, you can find us on social media. That is by following us on Instagram, liking our page on Facebook, and subscribing to our YouTube channel. I'm Demima Duffield.
And I'm Nora Kamuya.
Merry Christmas.
Yeah, Merry Christmas.
Yeah.
See you next year. It's been a good 2018.
Yeah. What he said.
Episode 100! You share the ball amongst the players. So I believe that for you to be a top coach, for you to be regarded as a top coach, then you need to have a philosophy. You need to have something.
I'm sorry, yo. I'm just looking at Ngara and laughing because I'm like, what the hell?